This is Robert Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're here at the LD Micro Main Event 2015 in Bel Air, California. With me right now is Robert Brooke from Stevia First Corporation. The symbol is STVF. Robert, welcome back to SNNLive.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you back. So for our audience, before we get into an update, let's get an overview of Stevia First.
Sure. So Stevia First is a 3-year-old ag biotech company that to date has been focused on increasing global supply of stevia, a zero-calorie plant-derived sweetener that really is winning people over worldwide, and that has climbed in sales from sub 200 million to 1.3 or 1.4 billion globally within a short span, and it's projected to grow at about 10% year over year for the next 4 or 5 years.
Okay, so since we last spoke to you, which I believe was about a half year ago, so let's get an update about what's going on in the company.
Sure. So the company has been focused on developing breakthrough technologies that can unlock far more global supply of stevia. And one interesting twist is that we developed a technology to co-process stevia and sugarcane. And many people would kind of think of the sugar industry as an unlikely ally for stevia company, but they're actually battling against low-cost, high-fructose corn syrup, and they see stevia as a great way for their operations to evolve. And so we're looking to partner with sugar mills that really want to offer low-calorie syrups, and that with stevia they can reduce calories by up to 80%, and to help them evolve their operations and to offer competitive products to the multinational food and beverage companies.
So let's get into this new technology that you say you guys are developing. I want to know a little bit more about why, and how, and also how it's helping the sugar mills.
Yeah, so the entire stevia industry today largely comes from overseas, from China, and in order to provide enough supply to the food and beverage companies, a company like Coca-Cola who spends $6 billion a year on sweeteners, and they love stevia, they're quote all in with stevia, and they want to reformulate products like a Fanta, which is really just a sugar bomb, 160 calories per 12 ounces. The World Health Organization is saying you should cut your added sugars to less than 5% of your daily calories. So they're saying don't even drink a single can of sugar-loaded Sprite or Fanta or Coke daily. And so stevia is the great answer for that, but there's not nearly enough supply. And so it's all coming from China, a very antiquated supply chain system. And so you need partners like the sugar industry and others to really adopt it en masse and to evolve their operations. And we're really the technology provider. We're providing the know-how and the materials to give them what they need, and and we can license that technology worldwide, and then achieve pretty lucrative strategic partnerships or joint ventures that really transforms our company's profile overnight. And that's the type of deal we're looking for.
So is it like it's a processing technology? Is that what it is?
That's correct. We're a 3-year-old company, an ag biotech company. I'm a bioengineer by training that worked in hedge fund finance for about 5 years, investing broadly in biotech and healthcare companies. And so it's a company that modifies, or it's a process that modifies the stevia molecule to improve the taste, and it also enables 2 or 3 times increased supply from the same starting material. Interestingly, that same technology we've applied in the pharmaceutical sector, where you can modify drugs to create prodrugs that may create kind of a longer duration of action, may improve the taste of it and make it more tolerable for patients, and may also improve the bioavailability and make the dosing better. And so we just announced IP, in the intellectual property in that area within the past month or so, related to modifying cannabinoids, pharmaceutical versions of molecules like cannabidiol, and so that's a very interesting twist that we're really just now getting our arms around, and that's surely going to be a part of the story over the next 6 to 12 months.
Okay, so I also want to get into the competition a little bit. So are there other people out there or other companies that are doing what you guys are trying to accomplish?
Sure, and people see stevia, everywhere now. And over the past 5 years, it's a product where only about 8 or 9% of the population had ever heard of it. And now nearly everyone has. It's reached that kind of tipping point. But most of the kind of stevia companies you see out there are the food and beverage companies. They're the product formulators. And so in terms of supply, there are various suppliers, but pretty much all of them are coming from overseas, coming from Asia, using a pretty antiquated supply chain. And so we're offering a very different type of supply chain, and aiming to be that B2B provider to not only the small product formulators, all these smaller companies that sell, but also the major multinational food and beverage companies like Kellogg, Nestle, Coke, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, and others.
What do you think is the time frame for this supply chain to finally be implemented in the United States?
Well, it's a good question, and the beverage companies, and that's kind of a great place to start because the beverage companies by themselves consume 31% of the U.S. sugar supply, and you look at like a can of Coke, it's 10% by weight sugar, and so and stevia is a great replacement for it, and so what are the dynamics that make them reformulate en masse? Well, sugar taxes. In Mexico, a sugar tax was enacted last year where sales of full-calorie drinks went down by 10% in 1 year. In the U.S., there's legislation coming out next year where the added sugars are getting broken out on the nutrition facts label, and that could enable cities and states to put their own sugar taxes, to enact their own sugar taxes, and effectively enforce them. And so that could be another, which you've already seen in California and Chicago and other places, and even at the federal level, there's been some proposed legislation. So a sugar tax, would make this occur pretty quickly, and that's coming out, and probably kind of mid 2016 that is going to be enacted.
And I'm just curious, where does Stevia First fit in on this? Because it sounds like it's a lot of top-down change, and then now your companies like yourselves and potential competitors are now going to be bidding in order to become part of this process. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, well, we're a technology provider. We've developed a proprietary bioprocess that enables far more stevia supply and enables better tasting versions of it. And so, what happens is that, as this trend continues, and I consider sugar reduction an inevitable trend, and and as they reformulate en masse, we're waiting in the wings, and we can strike the right type of joint venture that will really transform our profile from a small market cap company today to something much larger, and and that's really what it's about, is just being poised for when those companies come to the table that have such a huge kind of vested interest in this area, that we can be that reliable group to depend on.
Okay, so moving forward, from what you can tell me, what can we look forward to from Stevia First going into 2016?
Yeah, so we're pursuing regulatory approval for the first product derived from this very novel process. At the same time, we've also developed what we consider pretty seminal intellectual property, where we're modifying certain pharmaceuticals, certain drugs, using the same technology to create prodrugs, kind of modified versions of it, and we consider that to be a pretty lucrative piece of intellectual property. So you'll hear more news on that front as well.
So where can our audience go and find more information about Stevia First?
Our website is steviafirst.com.
My name is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're here at the LD Micro Main Event 2015 in Bel Air, California. With me again has been Robert Brooke from Stevia First Corporation. The symbol is STVF. Robert, thank you so much for coming on to SNNLive.
Thanks a lot.